Good morning. I am Dr. E. Srinivasa, working as an assistant professor of physics in IDSG Government College, Chikmagalur. In this video, I am going to explain some concept of nuclear fission and fusion, which is a chapter for 3rd BSc Physics students studying in 6th SEM for paper 8, Nuclear and Particle Physics, subject code SSF 611. And this is the video for session number 29. So in this video, I am going to explain what is nuclear fission, what is nuclear fusion, how they are occur, why they are occur, and what is the amount of energy released in nuclear fission and fusion, and their examples, and also some concepts of thermonuclear reactions. First of all, what is a nuclear fission? We all know that in your lower classes, nuclear fission is a process in which heavy nucleus captures an electron and splits into two light nuclei of comparable masses, releasing 2 or 3 neutrons and large amount of energy. So, nuclear fission is defined as it is a process in which a heavy nucleus captures an electron and splits into 2 lighter nuclei of comparable masses, releasing 2 or 3 neutrons and a large amount of energy. When a uranium nucleus is bombarded with neutron, a uranium nucleus captures a slow neutron, forming an unstable compound nucleus. The compound nucleus splits into 2 nearly equal parts called fission fragments. Some neutrons are also released in this process along with the release of large amount of energy. So, the easy example to explain the nuclear fission is that when uranium nucleus is bombarded with neutron, slow neutron, a uranium nucleus captures a slow neutron, forming an unstable compound nucleus. The compound nucleus splits into 2 nearly equal parts called fission fragments. Some neutrons are also released in this process. The fission fragments are generally in the form of smaller atomic nuclei and neutrons. The schematic equation for the fission process is here 92 uranium-235 is a radioactive nucleus. It is bombarded with a slow neutron. It captures the slow neutron and a compound nucleus 92 uranium-236 is formed. And this uranium-236 is splits up into 2 lighter nuclei X and Y, and also neutrons, along with a large amount of energy is released. 92 uranium-235 is highly unstable isotope, and X and Y are the fission fragments. The fragment not uniquely determined because there are various combinations of fragments possible and a number of neutrons are given off. Typical fission reactions are, one of the typical reactions are there. If 92 uranium-235 is bombarded with a slow neutron, 92 uranium-236, that is compound nucleus, is formed, gives rise to 56 barium-141 and 36 krypton-92, along with 3 neutrons are released with a large amount of energy that is represented by Q. Another reaction is 92 uranium-235 captures a neutron and 92 uranium-236 compound nucleus is formed. This heavy nucleus is splits up into 2 lighter nuclei of xenon and strontium, here 54 xenon 140, and actually this is 38 strontium 94 plus 2 neutrons plus energy is released, where Q is the energy released in the reaction. The energy released by fission reaction usually appears in the form of kinetic energy of fission fragments and neutrons. So, the energy released in the nuclear reaction is mainly in the form of kinetic energy of the fission fragments and neutrons, and also a part of the energy is released as gamma rays, heat and light. In this reaction, a mass defect of about 0.216 atomic mass unit occurs and it is equivalent to about 200 MeV. If we convert 0.216 atomic mass unit into energy, we get about 200 MeV. That means in the nuclear reaction, energy released due to difference in mass between the products and reactants, that is called mass defect. That mass defect is converted into large amount of energy in the nuclear fission reaction according to Einstein mass energy relation. Next, so in the diagram we can see how the nuclear fission takes place. So this is one diagram and this is a neutron. When this neutron bombards a uranium-235, a compound nucleus of uranium-236 is formed. This heavy nucleus breaks up into 92 krypton 92 and barium-141 along with 3 neutrons, and large amount of energy is released. This is a schematic diagram of the nuclear fission. And another example here. This is 92 uranium-235 is bombarded with a neutron. So it captures the neutron. A 92 uranium-236 unstable compound nucleus is formed. This heavy nucleus is splits up into barium 56 barium-142 and 36 krypton-91 along with a large amount of energy, and 3 neutrons are released in this reaction. In some other reactions, 2 neutrons are also produced. So, in the nuclear fission, depending upon the fragments formed, 2 or 3 neutrons are released. A chain reaction is a self-propagating process. 1 minute. Let us discuss a chain reaction. A chain reaction is a self-propagating process in which number of neutrons goes on multiplying rapidly, almost in geometrical progression during fission till whole of fissionable material is disintegrated. That means you know that in a nuclear fission reaction, when a slow neutron is bombarded with a uranium nucleus, it forms a uranium-236 compound nucleus. That heavy nucleus is splits up into 2 fission fragments of almost equal masses along with a large amount of energy, and 3 neutrons are released. These 3 neutrons can cause further fission in other fission material, that is fission atoms. A chain reaction is a self-propagating process in which a number of neutrons released in one fission goes on multiplying rapidly, almost in geometrical progression during fission till whole of fissionable material is disintegrated. There are 2 types of nuclear chain reaction. One is controlled chain reaction, the another one is uncontrolled chain reaction. So we will discuss what is controlled chain reaction and uncontrolled chain reaction. Before going to know about the controlled and uncontrolled chain reaction, this figure represents how the chain reaction takes place in other unchanged fuel, that is uranium-235 atoms. So this is a neutron. When this neutron is bombarded on a uranium-235 nucleus, two fission fragments, that is barium and kryptons, are formed, along with three neutrons are also produced, and a large amount of energy, about 200 MeV energy is released per fission. So these two are the fission products, and these three are the neutrons. These three neutrons can have a probability to cause further fission in other uranium atoms or nuclei also. These are unchanged fuel. Again, these three neutrons, so bombard on these three uranium nucleus produces fission fragments. These are the fission fragments, along with 3 plus 3 plus 3 neutrons. Again, 9 neutrons are produced in the second step, and these 9 neutrons can cause the further fission in other atoms also. So this self-sustained reaction takes place in a nuclear fission is called chain reaction. If one time a slow neutron is bombarded with a uranium nucleus, 3 neutrons are produced along with the fission fragments. These 3 neutrons can cause further fission in other uranium atoms. Like that, a number of neutrons are multiplied in geometrical method. So this is a self-sustained reaction which is produced is called chain reaction. This also another diagram which represents particularly which type of the fission fragments are produced. Again, this is a slow neutron incident on the uranium-235 nucleus. This is the first generation. So barium and kryptons, or the fission fragments, were produced along with 3 neutrons and a large amount of energy. Again, here 2 neutrons are incident on the other 2 unchanged uranium nuclei, and the third one may produce or escape. Okay, these two again undergoes fission, produces 2 or 3 neutrons, and again here krypton and barium are formed. In the second generation, xenon and strontium may be formed, or cesium and rubidium may be formed. So again 2 or 3 neutrons are released along with the release of large amount of energy. So again 92 uranium-235, this is the third generation. Krypton and barium are formed. Cesium and rubidium may be formed as a fission fragments. Krypton and barium as formed as a fission fragments along with the release of 2 or 3 neutrons. Like this, once if the fission process is initiated with a slow neutron, so the neutrons which are formed in the fission process, that is 2 or 3, can cause further fission. Likewise, the neutrons number goes on multiply, and also a large amount of energy is released. So we will discuss controlled chain reaction. You know that there are 2 types of the chain reaction. One reaction is controlled chain reaction, and the another one is uncontrolled chain reaction. What is controlled chain reaction? In this reaction, the neutrons are built up to a certain level, and thereafter the number of fission producing neutrons is kept constant. This is called controlled chain reaction. That means in the controlled chain reaction, energy is produced at the control rate. This is called controlled chain reaction. Such a controlled chain reaction is used in a nuclear reactors. So in nuclear reactors, the controlled chain reaction is used as a principle to generate electric power by the fission energy at a control rate used for constructive purpose. Uncontrolled chain reaction. In this type of chain reaction, the number of neutrons are allowed to multiply indefinitely, and large amount of energy is released in a short interval of time, causing a violent explosion. In uncontrolled chain reaction, the number of neutrons are allowed to multiply indefinitely. Therefore, large amount of energy is released in a short interval of time, causing a violent explosion. This is called uncontrolled chain reaction, and this type of chain reaction takes place in atom bomb, that is used for destructive purpose. So, in uncontrolled chain reaction, large number of neutrons are allowed to multiply indefinitely, which is not controlled. Therefore, large amount of energy is released in a short interval of time, causing a violent explosion. And this type of chain reaction takes place in atom bomb, and it is used for destructive purpose. Next, critical size. What is critical size and why it is important? The chain reaction may not possible if there is a leakage of the neutrons and their absorptions by non-fissionable materials is larger in the system. So, chain reaction may not possible or may not occur if there is a leakage of the neutrons and their absorptions by non-fissionable materials is larger in the system, which is in nuclear fission. In order that chain reaction may be sustained, the size of the fissionable material must have a particular minimum value called critical size. To sustain a fission reaction, there is a size of the fissionable material. The minimum size of the fissionable material to sustain a chain reaction is called critical size, at which loss of neutrons is exactly equal to the production of the neutrons. At the critical size, the loss of neutrons is exactly equal to the production of neutrons. If the size is greater than the critical size, then only the chain reaction continues. If the size of the fissionable material is greater than the critical size, then only the chain reaction continues. On the other hand, if the size is less than, size of the fissionable material is less than the critical size, the chain reaction terminates, stops. The mass of the fissionable material corresponds to critical size is called critical mass. The mass of the fissionable material corresponds to this critical size is called critical mass. Thus, critical mass is this is the definition of the critical mass. Critical mass is the minimum mass of the fissionable material required for fission chain reaction to just sustain. That means just continue the fission reaction. The minimum mass of the fissionable material required is called critical mass. The possibility of chain reaction is determined by a factor called multiplication factor or reproduction factor. To explain whether the chain reaction continues, stops, or just it has equal to critical, the possibility of the chain reaction is determined by a factor called multiplication factor or reproduction factor denoted by K. It is a measure of growth rate of neutrons in the reactor. This reproduction factor K or multiplication factor is a measure of growth rate of neutrons in the reactor. Whether the growth rate or production rate is larger or less or equal to compared to its loss of neutrons or leakage of the neutrons. And it is given by K is equal to ratio of number of neutrons in any one generation to the number of thermal neutrons in preceding generation. That multiplication factor is given by ratio of number of neutrons in any one generation to the number of neutrons in preceding generation. So, Here number of neutrons produced or generate in one generation, and also there are thermal neutrons in the preceding generation. That ratio is called K. If K is equal to 1, the fission reaction will be critical and the chain reaction is just sustained. If ratio of this, that is K is equal to 1, then fission reaction will be critical and the size is the critical size and the mass will be critical mass. At that point, the chain reaction is just sustained. If K is less than equal to 1, the fission chain reaction will be subcritical and the rate of reaction decreases until it finally stops. If the multiplication factor is less than or equal to 1, the fission reaction is called subcritical and the rate of reaction goes on decreases and finally it stops. If K is greater than or equal to 1, the fission chain reaction is supercritical and the rate of reaction increases exponentially, producing large number of neutrons and large number of energy. If K is greater than or equal to 1, the fission chain reaction is supercritical and the rate of reaction increases exponentially because of the production of large number of neutrons. Materials that readily undergo fission are called fissionable or fissile material. So we know that all materials will not undergo fission. Materials that readily undergo fission are called fissionable or fissile material. Only certain radioactive materials are undergo fission which are having atomic number greater than 82. For example, 92 uranium-235 is naturally available fissile material. 92 uranium-239 and 92 uranium-235 are artificially formed fissile material. Nuclear fusion. Up to this slide, we studied about the nuclear fission. From this slide, we are going to study what is nuclear fusion. Nuclear fusion is the reverse process of the nuclear fission. So, the process in which two or more light nuclei fuse to form a single heavy nucleus with release of large amount of energy is called nuclear fusion. This is nuclear fusion, not fission. So, in nuclear fission is the process of splitting up of heavy nucleus and capturing a slow neutron and produces two light nuclei and 2 or 3 neutrons releasing large amount of energy. Whereas nuclear fusion is the process in which 2 or more light nuclei combine to form a single heavy nucleus with release of large amount of energy. For example, when 4 hydrogen nuclei are fused together, a helium nucleus is formed. This is the best example for nuclear fusion. The mass of the single nucleus formed is always less than the sum of the masses of the individual light nuclei. The mass of the single nucleus formed is always less than the sum of the masses of the individual light nuclei. That is, the total mass of the products is less than the total mass of the reactants. This difference in mass is converted into large amount of energy according to Einstein's mass energy relation is equal to mc square. And one of the example to show the nuclear fusion is here one tritium nucleus combined with one deuterium nucleus gives rise to a single helium nucleus that is represented by 2He4 with release of 1 neutron and a large amount of energy. So it can be pictorially represented as this is triton, consists of 2 neutrons and 1 proton represented by 1H3, and this is deuteron, consists of 1 proton and 1 neutron. It is given by 1h2. So these two light nuclei fuse to form a single heavy nucleus, that is 2He4. There are 2 protons and 2 neutrons, 2He4, and there is 1 neutron, and a large amount of energy is released in this nuclear fusion reaction. It is about 20 MeV energy. So nuclear fusion is given by another pictorial representation. So this is the equation of the nuclear fusion. Small nuclei come together to form a larger nuclide, releasing a large amount of energy. This is deuteron, this are deuterium, this is tritium, 1H2 deuterium, 1H3 tritium. These two light nuclei combine to form a single heavy nucleus, that is compound nucleus, and helium nucleus, and energy 1 neutron are the products. This type of fusion is being examined as an alternate energy source on Earth. This is very important. Fusion energy can be used as alternate energy source on Earth. Fusion is very difficult to achieve because the combining nuclei have to overcome the electrostatic repulsion. Hence, the nuclei that combine should approach each other at a very high velocity. This means that the temperature of the system should be very large. Fusion reactions takes place only at very high temperatures of the order of 10 to the power of 7 to 10 to the power of 9 Kelvin. Such reactions are called thermonuclear reactions. There is no S, thermonuclear reactions. Fusion is very difficult to achieve because the combining nuclei have to overcome the electrostatic repulsion. In the fusion process, 2 light nuclei combine to form a single heavy nucleus. We know that charge on the nucleus is positive. So if there are 2 light nuclei to combine, the 2 charged particles should experience a large electrostatic repulsion of the same positive charge. To overcome this large electrostatic repulsion, so the nuclei that combine should approach each other at a very high velocity. So to maintain very high velocity, the temperature of the system should be increased to very large value. So of the order of 10 power 7 to 10 power 9 Kelvin. Then only the kinetic energy of the 2 light nuclei increases and they move with large velocity, approach each other and overcome the electrostatic repulsion. Then only they can fuse together to form a single nucleus. So fusion reactions takes place only at very high temperatures of the order of 10 power 7 to 10 power 9 Kelvin. Such reactions are called thermonuclear reactions. Thermonuclear reactions were realized in the hydrogen bomb. That means, so the reactions takes place which are at high temperature are called thermonuclear reactions, which are realized in the hydrogen bomb. Thermonuclear reactions takes place in hydrogen bomb and also at the center of the stars like our sun. So thermonuclear reactions continue. As I explained in the last slide, the source of stellar energy is fusion. That means what we got, so much light and heat energy from our sun and stars, that source of stellar energy is the nuclear fusion. This suggests that a large amount of energy can be obtained by the nuclear fusion. But it is not easy to fuse the 2 light nuclei into a single. The main difficulty in the fusion of nuclei is the electric force of repulsion between the positively charged nuclei. As I explained in the last slide, fusion is possible when the kinetic energy of each of the nuclei is large enough to overcome this electrostatic repulsion. So, if the kinetic energy of each nuclei is very large to overcome the electrostatic repulsion at very high temperature, then only the fusion of the light nuclei into single nucleus takes place. Fusion reactions can take place only at very high temperatures of the order of 10 power 7 to 10 power 9 Kelvin. Only at these very high temperatures, the nuclei are able to overcome their mutual Coulomb repulsion and enter the zone of nuclear attractive forces. Only at these very high temperatures of the order of 10 power 7 to 10 power 9 Kelvin, the nuclei are able to overcome their mutual Coulomb repulsion and enter the zone of nuclear attractive forces. Hence, these reactions are called thermonuclear reactions. So, the reactions which are taking place, nuclear reactions, that is nuclear fusion, takes place only at very high temperature of the order of 10 power 7 to 10 power 9 Kelvin. Therefore, they are called thermonuclear reactions. A star is able to control thermonuclear fusion in its core because of its strong self-gravity. How these thermonuclear fusion reactions are produced at the center of the stars like our sun? Because we know that the stars are bounded by hot luminous gas with high gravitation force. So, as the gravitation force increases, pressure and density increases, so the temperature increases up to about 10 power 7 Kelvin. At high temperatures, fusion of hydrogen into helium takes place. So, this self-gravity is balanced by the energy radiation which are released in the nuclear fusion reaction. The thermonuclear reactions in the core of the sun cause high temperatures which generate strong outward pressure. These act against the sun's own gravity, preventing it from contracting and holding it in equilibrium. So, for equilibrium of the stars, that self-gravity is balanced by this strong outward radiation pressure. These act against the sun's own gravity, preventing it from contracting and holding it in equilibrium. The equation of stellar structure set up by A.S. Eddington relates the gravitational force in the star to the progressive changes of pressure from its core outwards to the magnitude of pressure of density. There is no pressure of density and temperature, and the fall of temperature outwards the flow of energy from the interior to the surface. So, mathematical expressions were given by the Eddington how the gravity and radiation outward pressure balances in the stars. From these equations, stable models of stars emerge with central temperatures high enough to start and sustain thermonuclear fusion. So, this is about thermonuclear reactions. The key role, of course, is played by the controlling force of gravity. The large mass of an astronomical system makes gravity the most important factor in determining its behavior.